Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's Shredded Boston here, and today I'm back for episode number 22 of my Tour de France Pro Team series here on Tour de France 2015. So today we're back, continuing on with the 2019 Tour de France, and today I originally was planning on putting the last 6 stages of the tour in one episode, but because we were going through the high Alps and there was plenty of drama in these first 3 stages, I decided I would split the final, what I was originally planning to be the final episode, into 2, so there'll be 2 more episodes before we hit the end of this tour. So here we go now, coming up. This was a little bit of an in-between stage, the road into Gap, and some crosswinds here. Actually, there's no wind going on right now, but the pace of the Peloton really got picked up here as we were coming up on this Category 2 climb. And you can see Riblon sort of struggling to hang on to the back here. He's in this group of sort of sprinters who hadn't quite kept the pace, but obviously there's great incentive for the sprinters to stay close to the Peloton. If they can get over this Category 2 climb, they could potentially get back in and try to get a stage win out of it. But here you go now. You can see, Arnaud Démare, Mark Cavendish, Andre Greipel, Tom Bonin. I'm trying to stick with these guys because I know that they're going to be racing hard. They want to get back to the Peloton as much as I do. So I wanted to stick with them. And you can see, Mikel Nieve, some other notable riders, Danny Moreno, Nico Roche. They're all here, so not exactly, and this is not, and Peter Sagan as well, you know, is a strong rider, so, not exactly too far. We can't be too far behind the Peloton when we have such strong riders in this group. So here we go now. I'm going to try and do some of the pace making on my own. I have my own incentive to try and get back to the Peloton, claw my way back. I know there are guys up the road that are going to challenge my position in the top 20 in the GC, so I know I want to get back, or at least get that gap as small as can be. So I'm doing a little bit of the pacing here on my own, and I was thinking, maybe I'd get away from the group, but they decided to stick with it. As they chase me down, and then we eventually come up on this group of riders right here. This was an important group because it has Ulissi here, who is, I believe, 1 spot behind us or 1 spot ahead of us. I don't remember exactly. He's either in 17th or 19th place, very close to us though. So he's the guy we got to keep an eye on him when we come up to him and actually end up passing him there temporarily. That was a good sign. And then we're coming up on the top of the Katsu climb here, and you can see some other riders. I think that's Ulissi in the Lamprey jersey just ahead of us, and actually that's Ruby Costa, excuse me. But we lose a little bit of time at the top of that climb, but as always, we have the descent to try and make some of that time back. And you can see we're going to get our way back to this little group of riders right here. This was many of the guys that we're going to try and keep an eye on, as well as a couple sprinters. You can see Alexander Kristoff there among some others now. Final 2.7 or so kilometers to the finish here, and you can see it's Sammy Sanchez leading things out for this group. Michael Matthews also trying to get into the mix, a spot maybe in the top 35 on the day on the line here in this sprint as we're coming across right behind Ulissi, Mikel Nieve, Roman Kreuziger. Like I said, guys, so we're going to have to keep an eye on for the GC. We're trying to battle for those top 20 spots. You can see we're getting passed by a lot of guys. Riblon, not the best sprinter, of course, but it would not matter. We get the same time, and that's really all that matters at this point. So we cross the line, and the day is done. An in-between stage that turned out to be a little bit more dramatic than expected, but we maintained our spot at number 18 overall. And there you can see Ulissi is 1 spot behind us, but now we turn our attention to stage number 17 of this year's tour, going from the road to the Col d'Alot to a Pra Loop. And here we go now. Cyril Gauthier trying to get in on the action early. He is going to try and get in the day's breakaway. It is a day with a lot of small hills and a couple big climbs there at the end. The perfect day for a breakaway to stay away. And to win on a stage like this, you're going to have to be a strong rider like Cyril Gauthier. So he's got as good of a shot as anybody here. We're going to start simulating forward now that the breakaway is established. It was a pretty big one. You can see 17 riders plus Warren Barguil up at the front. I originally wanted to contend in some of these King of the Mountains, competitions here, King of the Mountain sprints, but unfortunately, the other climbers in the group were just too strong, so I couldn't really contend or compete or anything like that. And I thought maybe could get back into the competition. It only takes really one good day. If you swept all these climbs, you could really get back in. And I think first place only had 48 points. But the problem was first place was Danny Navarro, and he was actually in this group, I do believe. So he might have been in second place. He was a high overall. I don't remember exactly where, but he had 48 points and he was contending for it. So you would have to distance yourself from him if you really wanted to take over that competition, but it was not going to happen. So here we're on the big Category 1 climb here, just trying to stick with the group. You can see the strong climbers of the breakaway making their way to the front. That's Dominic Pozzovivo, Jerome Koppel, who I guess isn't quite as strong of a climber as some of the other guys in this group, but still a formidable rider, certainly. Here we go now. It's Gauthier trying to hang on to the back, the Lamprey, or not the Lamprey duo, the Garmin the Garmin Cannondale duo of Hejidal and Tom Danielson was doing some work there, but Gautier hung on strong, and I think he would come over the top, maybe 6th or 7th place, and he would be able to get back on the descent. It's Riblon also losing a little bit of time here as we come across the summit, but once again, we know if we just limit the losses here on the edge of the climb, we will more than make up for those on the descent, and you can see Riblon doing just that as he will hitch his way back onto the back of the peloton. It is Cyril Gautier, though. This is where I decided to launch an all-out assault. So the breakaway group had gotten split up on that Category 1 climb, and I wanted to get back to the front, try and put myself in as good a position as possible for the final little kick here. And you can see I actually catch up to the leading 3 riders. It's the 2 Garmin Cannondale boys plus Warren Barguil. Now it's a group of 4, but really right from the get-go, Gautier couldn't quite hang on. These guys are just stronger climbers. They have the stronger legs than Gautier today. And you can see immediately they are distancing themselves. 5 kilometers to go now, 4.5. Gautier trying to kick into action here. He's lost about 30 seconds on Barguil, who is leading Danielson and Hejidal by about 10 seconds. Now that gap is up to 20. Gautier is almost a minute behind Barguil, who's riding away, and he looks like he's going to pick up the stage victory today. Gautier trying to hang on, using all of his energy up. We'll see if he has enough left in the tank to get to the finish line. We're switching over to Riblon now, who's in some trouble of his own right here, as he is losing contact with the peloton, trying to stick up. There's no descent to try and make up the losses. This is going to finish at the top of this climb, so Riblon's got to hang on if he doesn't want to lose time, and he is losing time at that. You can see 54th place on the road, just behind the peloton. They are right up the road, but at inclines like this, that is enough to create a sizable time gap. And you can see Gautier cross the line in 12th place, so not very high overall. I was hoping we'd get Gautier in the top 10 or maybe even the top 5, but unfortunately was not to be. And I wanted to shift my focus to Riblon because that's what we really care about right now. We really want to keep Riblon up in the top 20 in the GC. That is our one goal left in this Tour de France. And you can see Riblon coming across, doesn't lose too much time on the peloton. I'm not even sure if they would give him a gap. I think maybe lost like 45 seconds, I want to say. And you can see it was actually enough for Ulissi to jump him, but luckily Michael Rogers had a pretty poor day, and he lost 3 spots. We stick in 18th, despite the movement around us. Now we've got one final stage this episode. It is going to be the second Alpine stage, excuse me, as we are headed up this horse category climb here, middle of the race. No mountaintop finish. Once again, we're going to get into some of the mountaintop finishes in the final 2 days in the Alps, including the mountaintop finish at the top of Alpe d'Huez on the Queen stage in the Tour. That will be a huge day. It's Riblon, though, here in the group trying to hang on. We knew it wasn't going to be too tough of a day. I mean, none of the big names are going to put in attacks on this climb because it was so far out from the finish that if they did put in a good attack, it likely would have just been a race on the downhill anyway. So we knew it wasn't going to be too hard to keep touch, and Riblon sort of hanging on at the end here. Not quite riding as strong as you might like to see, but it's been a long race, and we've still got 2 more days in the Alps, so we'll see. The Tour de France is really an endurance race. We'll see if Riblon can make it through. You can see this climb actually featured a couple downhill sectors, and then it kicked back up, 9.1% right now. Guys getting dropped off, Moreno, Costa, among others here, and you can see not too far from the summit, though. Like I said, just limit the losses, and Riblon should be in pretty good shape to catch back up on the descent. This is going to be Jakob Fogelsang, getting unhitched here from the back of the peloton, but we're finally over the climb onto the downhill. This was a very long and steep descent, and it was plenty of time to catch back up. You can see Riblon struggling a little bit. Koenig is going to pass him, but keep your eye on the peloton, as there's going to be a fall involving, among others, Jurgen Vandenbroek and Jean-Christophe Perrault. So an interesting crash. Riblon actually rode right over those guys. I was kind of surprised he didn't get caught up in it. Very lucky to not touch wheels with any of the guys there and get on the ground. He stays up, though, and now we are on the little Category 2 climb here. The pace got picked up in this one after we caught back up at the peloton. The peloton really just bullet trained their way up this climb here. It was a very hard pace. Riblon could not quite keep up, using all of his energy that he's got left, and he's going to get unhitched here. Not quite to the summit yet. You can see it's Rigoberto Urán who crossed the line first in the breakaway. He is in 24th overall. Him and Hejidal were actually threats in the breakaway for our GC position. I think they were 21st and 24th respectively. Hejidal and Urán were. So we had to be careful, but luckily the peloton actually did some chasing the stage, and it didn't let the breakaway get too far ahead, so we wouldn't get passed by either of those guys in this stage. Although they still could threaten us in later stages, they've made up enough time that they could potentially threaten our spot in the top 20. Here we go, though, in the final kilometer. Caught up to most of the riders that we had to catch up with, guys like Ulisi, Kruziger, the guys that are around us in the GC. We blow up here at the end, but it would not matter. We don't lose any time. Rue comes across just ahead of us. We would get 28th on the day, finishing with the peloton, which is, of course, the goal, and we would maintain our spot in the top 20 overall, as you guys can see. So thanks for watching, guys. Hope you did enjoy. We'll wrap up the Tour de France the next episode, and I'm out. Peace.